Hi everybody and welcome back. My name is Melissa and this year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. Today I want to talk about boomers. So everybody likes to blame the boomers for everything, and I'm not saying that as a generation, if we want to look at that time frame, that there were no mistakes made. However, let's try and remember they're not a monolith. Like, I see, sorry, my hair's doing something funny and it's creeping me out on the camera. Sorry. So because my parents are boomers and they were very social creatures, I've had exposure to a large number of boomers, and I have seen some that have worked hard. I've seen some that have had opportunities. I have seen some that pissed away those opportunities, essentially. They had a friend who every 2 or 3 years they refinanced their home, so instead of paying it off, they were part of the problem for the 2008 housing crisis. So that's definitely an issue. And I was actually in the mortgage industry during that, and so I met boomers, and they were like, "Oh, well, I just trusted my nephew," or, "Oh, well, nobody actually reads the paperwork." You damn well better believe if my most valuable asset and also the place that provides me shelter is on the line, I am going to read every single line of that paper. So yeah, that's definitely, but that doesn't mean all boomers did that. I happen to know for a fact that my parents paid off their mortgage early. And my parents, though, were a unique situation. My mom knew the people they bought the land from, so she got a good deal because, like, she grew up with them. They were like my grandparents' friends, and then my dad built the house from scratch. So when I say from scratch, I mean like literally somebody poured the foundation, somebody taped the drywall, not that he can't tape, just he hated to, and somebody technically blew the popcorn ceilings because they wanted glitter on them too. So I guess 3 things. They always say 2 things, but technically 3 things were done. But my dad, like, put the walls up, put the electric in, the plumbing in, built the roof, did the drywall, did everything. So, painted, laid the carpet. So there were, his house was a lot cheaper than if he'd had it custom built. He even drew up the plans and then just got them approved by the architect so that he legally could build. But they paid off their house early and also built it themselves. So, obviously not all boomers caused the housing crisis. Not all boomers were mortgaged to the hilt and in credit card debt and constantly trying to keep up. But even so, there's a lesson you can learn from those boomers too, because I see young people doing it all the time. And it kills me too, because boomers are like, "Oh, maybe it's your avocado toast." But I will see those same boomers who are blaming the millennials. And I think honestly, a lot of it's like, I think it's the factor that it's the kids versus the parents. And now I'm seeing Gen Z get the same way with Gen X. And, Gen X was always the generation that they just left us alone. So they, I was saying, so you can still learn though, because the thing is that it's not the avocado toast, it's the constant credit card debt. It's the factor that nobody has impulse control. But to some extent, a lot of you may have learned that from your parents. So that's the case. And like, I feel like, again, there's a huge difference between the people who have to use their credit cards because of an emergency and the people who use their credit cards to buy the new Louis Vuitton bag or the, Shein or whatever. Shein, however you say it. So, we have to remember not just a monolith there. And then, like my mom was an extreme couponer before extreme couponing was a thing. So when I saw those, like, I remember I was working at a grocery store and somebody asked me, like, did you have an extreme couponer come through? I'm like, what do you mean? And they're like, oh, blah, blah, blah. Because they tried to accuse me of stealing. I'm like, excuse me? And they're like, yeah, your register was flagged. You're clearly stealing. No, sir, I'm not. And if you want to press charges, that's fine. But I will be then hiring a lawyer to sue your ass for defamation. And then, they came up with the whole extreme couponer. And then they're like, well, you should have known better. One, none of your training material said that. Two, it's all computerized. If you don't want 2 different discounts to be able to be rung in, then maybe you should check on your computers, because my minimum wage ass, not responsible for that. But to me, extreme couponing, like, that's, my mom did that all the time. I was like, that's how you save money, is by using coupons. Like, that's the point of them. They're like, no, that's stealing. No, it's not. It is not stealing at all. If your machine allows those coupons to go through, then it's not stealing. But this lady, she had it was like a buy one, get one free sale. And then she had like a buy one, get one free coupon. So she was essentially getting 4 for the price of 1. Bought like, I don't know, like 20, 30 boxes of razors. So, there's, not everybody behaved one way. And I also think it's important because there's also a lot of skills that boomers still know. And again, not all boomers, but, so my great-grandma, who would have been, I don't know, my grandparents were greatest gen. I don't know what came before that, but she was in her 90s and the 80s. So she was born in the 1800s then, right? Yeah. And so she had all these skills. Like, she could obviously cook, can, garden, knit, tat, all sorts of things. But the ladies in the nursing home, they would be crocheting in their rockers, quilting. They had like all these skills, right? And it was perfectly normal. So like, that was my first impression of nursing homes. If you'd asked me as a child, I thought nursing homes were one of the most fun places to go. One, all the ladies doted on me. They all had wonderful things to say to me. And I could rock with my grandma, or I could ride in the other woman. Gosh, what's her name? I can picture her face. I can't think of her name, though. I'm horrible with names. She'd ride me around in her wheelchair. And for some reason, I thought it was so cool that she'd had her leg amputated. I don't know why. I was like, here I was, 4 years old. Like, now I'm older, I don't think it's cool. But for some reason at 4, I thought it was. But they had all these skills. And, I was too young to know that I should have learned. And then my grandma, who was greatest gen, I started to realize that I should learn, but the equipment just wasn't available. So like, I had always wanted to do like videos where I kind of interviewed her and like got the family history and learned all of this stuff with both my grandparents, but my grandfather got dementia, and video equipment was so expensive, and so I was never able to do it. I probably should have written stuff down. Like, that probably would have been a good idea. And so now, and now my mom is older, and a lot of her skill set is gone. But that doesn't mean all boomers are. My mom has a somewhat unique situation. So, the things she could have taught me, she can't always teach me now. And she doesn't really have the memory anymore to teach me. And So if you have access to somebody who is older and has a lot of skills that are going to be lost to time, take advantage of that. Like, don't just assume. And plus, like, not all boomers had all the advantages you think they did. Like, you gotta remember, the women were making what, like 60% of what the men were. So for every $10 a man made, a woman made $6. That's, I think that's a big reason why, if you look, you see so many female boomers still working, is because there was such a wage discrepancy. Occasionally I'll see some male boomers working, but most of the time they're people of color, which also obviously presented some challenges back in the day. So, yes, did a lot of boomers have a lot of opportunities? Yeah, but that didn't mean all did. And we can either keep warring with them, or we can learn from them, because I know a lot of boomers, and let me tell you, some are real jerks. I'm not gonna lie, some are. But I know a lot of really nice ones too. Give you the shirt off their back type people, like, who are just really genuinely kind. And I mean, maybe it's because kindness is my goal, but like, there's just still a niceness about them. Like, I remember I had a customer a few months ago, and two older women had ordered powdered milk, and I was like, oh great, we had all these shortages. We'd just come off the egg shortage and everything, and I asked her, I was like, is there something I don't know? Is there something, like, did you see something on the news? Do I need to stock up on my dairy? And she's like, oh no dear. She's like, here's the trick, and it's how my aunt got through. She's like, and it's great because I can make just a little bit at a time. And she explained it all to me and everything. And honestly, like, some people have been like, wow, that's a really unprofessional thing to do. You're delivering her groceries, and you're like, hey, is there something I should know? But she wasn't offended. She wasn't upset. I wasn't rude about it either. Like, so, I learned that day that once it's just me and everything, it may be advisable to get the powdered milk, because I can make it a cup at a time. Because honestly, like, I don't know if I could finish a half gallon of milk. Is going to be tough to finish before it goes bad. I only drink like 4 ounces of milk a day. So, but how many of us really would think to get powdered milk? How many Gen X, Millennial, or Gen Z really would think to get powdered milk? And that is something that she got from the generation older than her. And that's something that, if I hadn't asked, it would have been lost to time. And I think that the boomers do have a lot of that information, that if we decide to keep warring with them instead of listening, we're going to lose that information to time, and things are going to just change. And I mean, I've seen so many different changes in my lifetime. And I mean, I always think about like how much the world keeps changing. Because I remember with my great grandma, we always said hers was the transportation. She went from riding in a horse and buggy to get to school to seeing a person land on the moon. My grandma, hers was communication. She went from having to run to the neighbors to use the phone in an emergency to carrying a phone with her. My parents were the computer. They went from, my mom went to a school that actually had a computer when she was in high school, and it had like punch card things, and it took up 2 huge classrooms just to like operate the one computer, and they had to learn about it. And now she carries a computer in her pocket. And then I feel like Gen X, I feel like we're going to probably have something to do technology wise with like a communication kind of a thing as well. How we went from technically as children, there was like the whole, like, I don't know, like the way the computers were back in that movie War Games or whatever, where they were like, do you want to play a game? And Oregon Trail and all that, to we have access to social media, and we can stream videos of ourselves and everything. So like, we're in this ever-changing world, and as things change and old things are eliminated, we're going to lose a lot of that knowledge. So take the chance, because the thing is that they may have access to frugal tips. And again, not all boomers, but some boomers. Just like not all millennials eat avocado toast. So instead of continuing to assume that each group knows nothing, and this could go in reverse too, because you know, the younger generations know things that we don't. I mean, my kid is a teenager, and they know things that I don't, and are always able to, you know, provide me with certain information. I mean, just because it's, well, one, like some of it's just like their thing. Like they can put all the countries on the map in 7 minutes, and that's like just a them thing. But a lot of the technology things, they're like, you know, they're just really good at it. It's like a natural thing for them. Because they grew up with it. So instead of continuing to war within the generations, let's learn from each other. Because a lot of those boomers may have some really frugal tips with how they did manage to get by. And well, they might not be the same. They can change. So for example, my mom used coupons, and she literally would like cut them out of the paper. Me, I use an app with coupons, because you know, you really, I mean, the coupons on the paper, it's pretty much like Gillette and Cascade, maybe some Polydent or something like that. But I haven't seen a coupon in a paper for a product I actually use in probably a decade. I think the last time I got those was when my kid was a baby. So, yeah, let's quit warring with each other and start accessing that knowledge. Anyways, again, my name's Melissa. This year I'm sharing 365 tips for frugal living. If you want to hear more, please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you all tomorrow.